All right, we got the double intro music there, guys.
Ooh.
Anticipation builds for the Xbox 2020 event in July. What if Project Lockhart is a Switch competitor? Portable. We'll talk about that as well. Also, we're going to talk about responding to IGN Xbox spokesperson Ryan McCaffrey and his recent article saying that Xbox needs to come out firing on all cylinders. Coming up for the next event in July, we're going to respond to his comments in that as well. All right, this is Game Night. I'm Daniel Hofflich, and joined with me in the party chat tonight in my bottom, this part right here. That's Greg Bagley. And this is Andrew Hofflich. Both of these guys are very big into Xbox, and so this is going to be an Xbox, pretty much Xbox focused show here. This is Game Night Podcast, and what I want to do is just kind of run you guys through it real quick of what Game Night is now, because we're kind of doing like making sure that we are zeroing in on one topic, so that when you come to watch Game Night, you're getting, you know what content you're getting. So we are going to be focusing on the console wars. The console wars will be individual videos that will be posted on the channel on youtube.com/GameNightHype. You can watch the full podcast on twitch.tv/GameNightHype, or you can listen to it on Spotify, Google, even on Apple. It's everywhere. So you can listen to the podcast. It's Game Night. So look for that blue and yellow logo. So what this means is that if you want the full Game Night package, you go and you watch Game Night podcast, and we're going to be doing everything all in one here. These podcasts will be broken up into separate videos, and they will be labeled as the Console Wars. Now, the Console Wars series is going to consist of a couple different segments. Now, the segments we got is Critical Intelligence. Critical Intelligence will be any news, rumors, speculations, announcements, or anything noteworthy, and we're going to be talking about that. The next segment, War Games. Now, War Games is our interpretations, our wild conjectures. We're going to try to get inside the mind of Sony and Microsoft and even Nintendo. We're going to try to figure out what is going to come next. And then another segment is going to be From the Front Lines. Now, this is going to be kind of a funnier, a fun segment to do, because we're going to go to social media. We're going to pick out just random comments from people talking on social media accounts like IGN or even just popular YouTubers. You know how it goes. You post an opinion there, and you are going to be met with the frontline soldiers of the console war. So we're going to be talking to them or reading their comments off as well. In Response To is another segment of the console wars. Now, In Response To is going to be us responding to popular YouTube streamers, YouTube videos, Twitch streamers, and even industry leaders like Ryan McCaffrey today. Next, the final segment is called Sit Rep. Now, Sit Rep is going to be, we're going to give you a hype meter, because I'm all about bringing the hype, guys. I'm a very energetic guy. Video games get me extremely excited. I'm ready to talk about the console wars. We're going to give you a hype meter and tell you what Sony's doing on the hype meter. We got Xbox on the hype meter, Nintendo on the hype meter, and then was that hype met? You know what I mean? The result, was it met on the hype meter? Like, for example, the PS5 event that just happened, the hype meter was almost maxed out, and it met the expectations. So, also on the Sit Rep, we're going to give you a monthly report card for each console. And so it's going to be really exciting. Now, all of those segments that I just explained to you about the console wars, they will be broken up into separate videos that you can enjoy on youtube.com/GameNightHype. And you don't have to worry about watching a full hour-long video if you don't have the time to do that. So, without any further ado, we're gonna jump into this episode of Game Night Podcast, and let's get to talking to our party chat tonight. We have Andrew Hofflich, Mr. Xbox himself, returning again to talk about this very Xbox oriented show tonight, and then Greg Bagley. Andrew, what's up, man? What you been playing?
Whew. Believe it or not, I actually haven't really been playing anything lately. Just mainly been watching some movies and taking care of housework at the moment.
Oh, okay, all right. Not
Nothing
bad. I
too.
mean, we all lead very busy lives. But is there when you get a chance to jump on, man? What game are you go? What is your go-to game right now?
Oh man, still trying to get. Well, I've already beat Ori, the Will of the Wisp, but yeah, I want to get that 100%. Like I strive to get in the first Ori. Fantastic game. Keep going back to it.
Okay, all right. Now, Greg Bagley, what's up, man? What you playing? And what you playing, Greg? What are you up to right now? Uh-oh. Did we lose Greg Bagley? Yeah, he's frozen. Greg Bagley is frozen.
Oh,
Well, hopefully he will join us later on. But anyways, so Andrew, what is up right now? It's going to be me and you for a little bit until Greg Bagley comes back.
okay.
First thing I want to talk about is the critical intelligence segment of the console wars. Now, it's basically just been all PlayStation 5. With their big reveal, the big PS5 reveal. So we talked about that in detail last on the last podcast. So we don't really need to go into it too much today. But I got an article here from GamesIndustry.biz saying that the PS5 will far outsell the Xbox Series X. Predicts an analyst from GamesIndustries.biz. I'm going to bring up his name in a minute, but the question I want to ask you is that this is obvious information. I don't think this is going to surprise anybody that the PS5 will sell more consoles than the Series X. As far as like the initial, I don't know, the initial launch. I think we got a huge player base with the PlayStation 4, and they're all going to carry over. That loyalty is not going to be wavered any, I don't think, by many people from the PS4.
I don't know.
But here's the question, man. Halo Infinite is launching with the Xbox Series X. So is Halo Infinite enough to sell more consoles this holiday season? It only gives you 2 months, but
Right.
is it enough to sell more consoles this holiday season? We'll start with Andrew.
Is Halo Infinite enough to sell the Xbox Series X more than the PS5? Um, this is a hard question because I'd say that if it was strictly a Series X exclusive, yes. But considering you can play uh, Halo Infinite on the Xbox One, um, and with everything going on at the moment with COVID, um, I see the initial batch of both consoles selling out, and if we get a replenish before the end of the year, who knows? And it just depends how much each company makes. But yeah, I think the initial batch of both consoles will sell out just because it's new console. Um, but as time goes on, people that were without a job for an extended period of time, you know, if especially if they're a Microsoft gamer, they may just decide, well, hey, now's not the right time to upgrade, and I can still play these epic games, Forza, Halo, on my series or my Xbox One X,
Mm-hmm.
and if the games are great like they should be, hey, maybe in March, April, May, or whatever of the following year, I'll go ahead and get that Series X. So it's a hard question to ask with everything going on, right now in the world.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I think if the game was strictly, and you were forcing your hand to buy a Series X to play the new Halo, then yes, because as what they've shown from PlayStation so far, PlayStation's not going to be launching with an epic title. I mean, they'll be launching so far from what we know with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Um, and that's kind of it's a standalone game, but it's not really Spider-Man 2.
Right.
So this is Halo. Like this is the big boy game.
Halo's
So
big. Yeah.
yeah, well, I mean, not to ramble on, but yeah,
No,
to
you're
answer
good.
your question, it's kind of a tough question, but I think it's going to be very close. I kind of agree with that article. Um, I think they said like 4.4 million would sell before the end of the year for PlayStation and like 3.6 or something for Xbox. I think that's fair. And that's actually a pretty good for Xbox, I think, because considering you can still play these games on Xbox One.
Hmm.
So to sell that many consoles and be, right on the tails of PlayStation by the end of the year, uh, that's pretty good. But then again, we also don't know what's going to happen in July. I mean, we could get $100 price point difference than PlayStation.
Hmm.
There's a lot of things that we still don't know until July about what Xbox is actually bringing to the table. And I also think Sony may have some surprises still in their sleeves. So yeah, it's going to
Okay.
be interesting.
Just to make some reference, that was this article on GamesIndustry.biz was written by Brendan Sinclair, and the analyst was Harding Rolls. And Andrew, you were correct that it was 4.6 million is projected to sell for Sony PlayStation 5, and 3.3 million for Xbox Series X. That's what he has projected for the first 2 months. Like that's 2020 sales for those
Right.
consoles. Um, Now that Andrew, you definitely bring up a really good point. Like, you know, with COVID going on and everything like that, people are not in the financial position to buy these consoles. But it also kind of goes the other way around too. Like, are these people going to go out and buy a PS5? And when it comes down to it, if PlayStation 5 only has Spider-Man, is it going to be enough to make people say, I got to get a PS5 right now this holiday season?
Right.
Um, that is it's such a weird thing with Xbox releasing Halo Infinite on One and the Series X. It it's not a system seller, you know. I mean, it's not the
Yeah.
killer app because there's already you can already play it.
But like I said, to kind of back that up too, is if they do come in, say $100, say they release an all digital. Let's just say Xbox is going to come out with the all digital, and theirs is only going to be $3.99 or even $2.99. Who knows? They could
Yeah.
go crazy and go say, hey, $2.99 for the Series S and $3.99 for the Series X, and then PlayStation's coming in at $4.49 and $5.49 or something like that. You know what I mean? So
True.
it's kind of a it just depends what Microsoft really wants to do. If they want to sell the system, they'll sell it at a loss. If they really are like they seem to be, if they really are happy with the whole ecosystem of the Xbox One blending with the Series X, then they may just cut $50 to $100 off. They may just say, hey, we'll give a discount on but we're not going crazy. But if they really want to push it, and they're gonna, if they have these games lined up ready to come out, Forza, Halo, even Hellblade, who
Mm-hmm.
knows, and they go, hey, look, if Fable, and they go, hey, all these games are coming holiday season in January 2021,
Oh yeah.
people are gonna be like, I'm buying an Xbox.
Right. I mean,
You know,
I'm
still gonna
almost
July.
that's crazy. I feel like Halo and Forza is enough to say like, hey, here's a huge racing game and here's a huge like franchise Halo Infinite, FPS shooter. That's enough to at least carry them through until quarter two.
And, and
But
my oh, sorry, I was gonna say my final thought on it too is if the difference of Halo Infinite on the Series X is next gen upgrade over Xbox One, and it's just playable Xbox One. But then they
Mhm.
could also turn around and say, "Hey, look, Halo Infinite is on the Xbox One, but it's also built from the ground up for the Series X. And that could be like the big surprise of, hey, look, you can play it on whatever you want, but this is a next-gen upgrade.
Yeah.
Then it'd
Specifically
be like,
for it.
yeah. So it's not exclusive, but if you want that performance and that graphics, that's exclusive.
All right. And I mean, another big thing is also to add on to that is that it just makes a huge difference that all of these games are going to be on Game Pass day one. And
yep.
when you buy your Xbox Series X, you already have Halo Infinite if you get Game Pass for only $10.
Yes.
You can play Halo Infinite on day one. And you don't have to worry about buying an extra game. You don't have to worry about buying 2 extra games like Forza and Halo. $10, you get both of those games. So I mean, that's such a that's such a big thing. If they do Forza, that's obviously hasn't been confirmed yet, but we're expecting it. Greg, your thoughts?
I still expect them to only have one SKU, and I think we'll probably talk about that later. There'll be just the disc version and priced $100 less.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll entice people to buy the Xbox. But I mean, like, you remember the hype when the One X came out? Everyone was like, I don't care if I'm playing the same games. I want to play them better.
Yeah.
Like, I want to play them the best that they can be. The same thing when the Pro came out. Everyone was like, I don't care if it's only a little upgrade. I want the best graphics
and people
that I can
went
get.
out and bought a $500 console to do that.
Right. And it was like a half step upgrade to what it was.
It's true.
Yeah, people bought them like hotcakes.
Yeah, people still buy them. So, all right. Well, Greg, that's a good segue into our next episode. So if you're watching this in a separate video, we'll have a little card that pops up. You can click that one and get into it. If you're watching it on our podcast, awesome. You got the full package deal. All right. So we're going to talk about we're talking about our war games segment here. This is where we come up with our own wild conjectures. Will the Xbox Scarlet be a Switch competitor? You know what I mean? All right, so this is where
You mean Lockhart?
I'm sorry, what did I say?
You said Scarlet.
I'm sorry. Yes, Lockhart. Oopsies. We already know what Scarlet is. Yeah. So will Lockhart be a Switch competitor? This was my theory. And I kind of thought it'd be cool to explore it a little bit more. Yeah. So what if? Right? Yeah, me and Greg were talking about this the other day. What if the Lockhart was a portable Xbox, and like it's xCloud focused. So yeah, if you have Wi-Fi, you can play your games. You almost have that docking thing, but you're not actually literally docking it. But you basically get home and say, play it on my Series X. Boom, and now you're playing on your Series X. Say you can take it from Series X and put it on your
auto resume feature,
Exactly. You can put it on your Lockhart from there. Boom, take it with you. Of course, you can do that on a phone, right? But if this is a dedicated handheld, and let's say that it has the graphic capabilities of, I don't know, an Xbox One, the standard edition Xbox One. And it has those capabilities, still better than the Switch graphics capabilities, which phones nowadays have better graphic cards than a Switch. So it is possible. But this is a dedicated thing. So you can download games. You can download Halo Infinite. You can have it on your Lockhart, and it just doesn't look as great. You know what I mean? But you can still play it. You can still take it with you on the go, and it's because the reason where my mind went with this was because they said that the Lockhart is rumored to be less powerful, and that kind of got my mind thinking. I'm like, well, if it's less powerful, who would want
bring it out?
Exactly, who would want that mid-step upgrade when you just buy a
One X?
Yeah, One X. You know what I mean? Like, this is a mid-step upgrade. Now, the only thing I can think is that maybe this lower powered, like in the teraflops, like if it has 4 teraflops, like it was rumored, I think it was 4.
But
it was. What was that, Holmes?
I said that's lower than the 1X.
It was lower than, from what I remember, the rumors saying that it was going to be lower in teraflops. But if it does have the SSD, I guess that is where it makes up the difference.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of like, man, if it's going to have that kind of graphic, that power, then what if it was in your hands?
Yeah, it's plausible,
right?
And that's what we went like deep into this.
Yeah, I'm about to bring up the text. Yeah,
because what if xCloud and console streaming was all just a clever marketing test to see if people would adopt being able to play on the go, because they already had Play Anywhere where you could play on like your Surface tab.
Yeah. And, I mean, it
was just a clever test to see how many early adopters there would be, and if it would be worth their time.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. What do you think, Andrew?
I was going to say I got a couple of concerns with it. I think it would be smart, but considering a big brand like Sony also dabbled into the handheld market for a while, and they failed. Nintendo seems to be the only one that just excels in the handheld market. But I will say, as not a handheld gamer, I love the idea, and I would pre-order one along with the Series X because that's just awesome. And I'm a big Xbox guy, so I could see me owning one and just having it around for those times. I had to take a small trip or something like that. But as far as getting into like a hardcore fan base of a Switch competitor Xbox,
it wouldn't necessarily be. I guess. I guess it would be technically a Switch competitor. I mean, it is portable.
Yeah, I was gonna say it would be now as like
competing.
As like an addition to your Series X, as something like nice to have that you could you could play and then cut like a
Dreamcast memory card type deal. Like you could take it with you.
Like Greg said, you come home and you pop it in and you play it on your screen and it converts over to the Series X or something. That'd be great. I also feel like if that was the case, they'd have to come in once again cheaper than the Switch Lite. So now you're talking about maybe $199, $249 price range they'd have to come in for something like that.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that too. We were like, I mean, that's not unreasonable.
It's not unreasonable.
I don't think.
You could come in at a higher price than the Switch, I think.
Because what's the console sell for right now? Just a regular 1S.
Right.
What, $199?
Yeah, I think it's $199. Might even be $250 still. It's just like, yeah, I mean, if you look, you could sell it more than the Switch because this is a better evolution than the Switch. You're selling almost an Xbox Series X portable. It's kind of like.
I agree with you, but you're also you're trying to sell the Xbox brand compared to the Nintendo brand.
And this is where I kind of the line gets a little blurry, or at least the thought gets a little blurry, where I'm like, Xbox just wants Xbox everywhere. If they had their way, they would just put it on the Switch. Like I think they would give Switch permission to stream xCloud. You know what I mean? Like if it was possible, yeah, you can stream our games with the Nintendo Switch. You just have to be connected to Wi-Fi.
I think a higher up wanted that because Phil Spencer came out I think one of those conferences he did maybe a month or two ago. He seemed to take offense to people asking, is this game going to come out on Switch? And he basically put down the line and said, look, we want people to realize, no, we're not dabbling in that no more. You want to play our games, you buy it on the Xbox.
I do remember that article, yeah.
To me, he kind of took offense. So I think maybe a higher up was pressuring him to dabble into the marketing of putting Xbox on other like the Switch or other consoles or something. Mm-hmm. And I think he finally put his foot down and said, I think he's on his last stand and said, let me take control of the Series X and let's see what happens.
This is my baby.
That was my takeaway.
Honestly, I think that's That's exactly what I would want to see. I am not really happy with seeing. Of course, it's great. Yeah, you get Ori on the Switch. If you own a Switch and you don't own an Xbox, you have the chance to play one of the best games, literally one of the best games of the year. Like you can play it on the Switch. I'm sorry, one of the best games of that year that it came out, Ori and the Blind Forest. You can't play Will of the Wisp on the Switch. But yeah, you have a chance to play. You can play Cuphead on the Switch, which is was Xbox Game of the Year that year. So
Boom.
yeah, there it is. I mean, if not a contender for Game of the Year, if it wasn't pitted against Breath of the Wild, like it was, you can play Cuphead on your Switch now, and that's an Xbox. It was an Xbox exclusive, and I think that's where it starts to get. It sucks, you know. You if you're an Xbox fan and you say, "Oh yeah, well we had Cuphead," well it's not yours anymore. You know what I mean? Like if you're an Xbox fan talking like that, that's not an exclusive. That's on the Switch.
That's
you know
funny. That's funny because I was in the store today and I was checking out at Target and I was wearing my Ori and the Will of the Wisp T-shirt, and the girl asked me, she goes, "Oh, is that game any good?" And I said, "Oh, it's probably my favorite game at the moment." And she said, "Oh, okay, good. Is it on the Switch?" And I said, "The first one is." I said, "But you cannot get the second one." I said, "You have to get an Xbox for that." And it was I just told her, I was like, "You really need to get an Xbox." I was like, because they got, if you like that, they got Cuphead. Then I said, "Oh wait, you can play that too."
Oh, you can play that on the Switch.
I said, "But if you want to continue that Ori adventure, you will have to get an Xbox."
I mean, it's interesting where Xbox is going. The message that they have been sending, and up until that message, or up until that article where Phil Spencer was like, we want our games, the Xbox Game Studios, to be, synonymous with Xbox.
Right.
But up until that point, it was like, man, they were just getting the games out wherever they could. If they could get it out on PlayStation, I feel like they would have, like Game Pass. You know what I mean? Like it just seems like that's where they're headed.
Well,
but
I was just going to add a final thought about your portable Xbox. I think if they really wanted to push a portable Xbox, they need to let's see, Battletoads, Ori, Cuphead, um, Super Lucky's Tale, maybe even bring Conker back or Banjo.
Oh, yeah, dude.
God, try to get Contra, as an exclusive or something. And like all those games I just named, what was that, 7 of them?
Yeah.
Like those are Nintendo-esque type games, but they're Xbox. Like, so that could be like your brand, like Super Lucky's Tale. That's like a cute Nintendo character.
Right.
Make that an Xbox. Really put some time into that game and polish it this time, and make it, face of Xbox, right next to Cuphead, right next to Ori, and you have these animated, Nintendo-esque characters, but it's got the Xbox logo behind it. Mm-hmm. I think that would be a good driving force against, Mario and Zelda and Pokemon and those kind of games, even though those are really high profile.
Yeah.
But that would be nice when you're at the store and kids are looking at them. They're like, "Oh, well, look, they got cute little characters over here," and so does Nintendo. I think I'm actually liking it. I think your idea of a portable Xbox, as long as they'd have to put a lot of push behind it.
Yeah,
right. Market the right type of things for it.
Yeah, so they'd have to really be pushing the Series X and the Lockhart kind of in the same direction, but separate, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say that when I say that it's a portable, like I'm basically saying it's a portable Series X, but you're basically playing, how Witcher 3 looks amazing on your Xbox One X, but then you can actually play it on the Switch, and it looks like somebody rubbed Vaseline all over it, but it you can play it. Like, I mean, it's there.
Oh,
so, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you could take, like, say if you could take Halo Infinite and play it portably, you know what I mean? Like, you're just, it's just a companion, basically. It's not saying, like, this is our own, this is where my thought process is going. Like, this is not its own, like, we're not trying to say we have an Xbox portable. No, this is a Series X that you can just take with you. And you can utilize the the xCloud to its fullest abilities on Wi-Fi. You can play it looking at that high fidelity. But if you're not connected to Wi-Fi, you can download these games on your system, and they'll just play they'll play.
Save state. You can pick up your save
Yeah,
state.
they won't look as great, but you can play them downloaded, or you can play on Wi-Fi and utilize the full capabilities of the xCloud. That's where my thought process was going. If they were really going to go this route. Now, once again, that's just a wild theory that I'm throwing out there. The success of the Switch is undeniable. So if Microsoft wants to get into that, and like it not, I guess it is a kind of directly competing with the Switch. And we've seen Alienware. I think it was Alienware. Is that one of the tech shows earlier in the year? They showed literally it looked like exactly like a Switch, and they're saying this thing is playing PC games. You know what I mean? So it's possible, but I'm also kind of like, one thing at a time. Focus on the Series X. So, and it also goes along with the lines of Phil Spencer saying that. He doesn't care about console sales right now. He just wants to get the Xbox name out there. So
that also leads me to my other theory that if there was a time for VR,
yeah. Oh my
this
God.
generation is the time, bro. Like maybe that is the second SKU. It's like a bundle like the PSVR was. Because I mean, all of this power and like you're not utilizing any of it for VR.
It's interesting, man. In my opinion, I would almost want them to go partner.
Yeah,
I would rather.
They're already with Oculus, right?
I think it was Oculus but they also partnered just recently with I want to say HTC, but I'm not 100%.
Oh yeah, the Sense, yeah.
Yeah, and so they partnered with them as well. So it's kind of like, was that partnership foreshadowing, or like, are we going to get are we going to get this? Like, you don't need to release your own like Sony did. Just say, hey, your Oculus Quest, go ahead and plug it into the Series X. You know what I mean? We'll power it, sure.
And if you don't have one, here's a branded one for you.
Yeah, I mean that would be cool. But yeah, so that was my wild theory on the Xbox Lockhart.
That's my biggest draw. Like, that's the biggest thing that actually wanted to make me play a PlayStation, though. Like the PS4,
the VR?
The VR. Dude, Skyrim in VR?
Yeah, just
come on, man.
I own PlayStation VR. It's good. It's not a system seller. Like if you want VR, get Oculus Quest.
It's because they couldn't handle it before, but now.
The Oculus Quest, dude, we played it at E3. It is.
We did, yeah.
Leaps and bounds better than the PSVR, in my opinion.
Wasn't it Phil, or was it another Xbox exec that came out when he was asked about VR, or she was asked about VR, and said that it was something they were still researching, but didn't see the what's the word I'm looking for?
I guess they didn't see the value in it, or
yeah.
Because he was saying that they were glorified demos. Basically, he said, I don't even know if it was Phil Spencer, but it was somebody from Xbox saying that once VR hits a point where it's not just like a glorified demo, then they would want to start getting into it. And I think with Half-Life Alyx, I think that proved
that was awesome.
Yeah, that proved that they're no longer demos, and there's other great VR games out there that are full length.
Man, I'm
VR
gonna tell you,
games.
You get me a racing game with VR, and I'm in.
Yeah,
a racing game.
Yes,
dude, I played Drive Club on the PlayStation VR. It is so. I mean, I got motion sickness on it, but I mean that could just be me. I was like, this is weird, dude. I couldn't handle it. I was like, maybe if you had your full Thrustmaster like setup going on with the VR on, that would really change things. But for me, once you're like sit down in that car and it starts going like really fast, you're just like, my mind was like, I'm not catching up right now. This is a little weird.
Yeah. I'll be honest, you were also playing, what'd you say, Drive Club?
Yeah, and it was on the PlayStation VR with the whole screen porch effect, and like it was blurry visuals.
Let's get Forza or Gran Turismo on there.
No,
sure.
Honestly, I wasn't gonna say it.
All right, then we go. Okay, so if you're watching this individual video, we're going on to our next segment of console wars. That was War Games. This is going to be in response to, and this is our big segment for the night. This is in response to Ryan McCaffrey and his article on the Xbox just needing to just come out swinging for the July event. The pressure is on. He made a lot of comments there that I thought were excellent comments, and yeah, so I would just like to read some of these comments off, and we can just talk about those. What do you guys think?
Sounds good.
All right, so Ryan McCaffrey, in his IGN article, he says that Halo Infinite needs to prove once and for all that 343 Industries can deliver the series' first 10 out of 10 level game since Halo 3, as the studio looks to reinvent Halo, arguably for the first time ever. Um, that's a pretty true statement in my opinion. I mean, Halo 4 kind of sort of reinvented the wheel for Halo a little bit. They brought in a lot of wacky scenarios. In my opinion, it just kind of took Halo away from what made Halo Halo, and that's what I want to talk to you guys about. Greg, I know that you have read some of the books. You like Halo a lot.
It made Halo 4 make a lot more sense.
So you needed to read the books for that.
Having that background really helped. I can't imagine what it was like if you didn't already know that going in.
Okay. So Greg, what makes Halo Halo to you? And when McCaffrey says that 343 Industries is going to possibly like reinvent Halo, I mean, this is Halo Infinite. It seems like it's a reboot in a way, but it is continuing the story. But what about Halo? Like is Halo to you? Like what does Halo Infinite need?
Man, it just needs to be the absolute best that it can be in like every category. It needs a bomb story that people who weren't like reading the books can get on and understand and like comprehend. Mm-hmm. It needs the graphics, which we talked about this earlier. Like people, they forget about the graphics and like 4 and 5. Like go back and look at 4 and 5, and then look at the games that were coming out at that time. The graphics were phenomenal. Like the graphics normally set the bar for what games would be after that, and I don't think they get a lot of credit for that. But the next Halo just needs to be, they need to focus on what they got right in the previous games. Mm-hmm.
Would you
don't make the story so complicated for people who aren't like diehards.
Mm-hmm. I think the core of it was kind of just like, this is, it's a military hero mm-hmm. saving the world from aliens, and he would do some really cool heroic stuff like sending the bomb back.
Right.
I mean, just kind of like these are like really cool moments that stuck, and it wasn't so. I mean, there was a story there, and it was a good story. It's just it wasn't so like convoluted and story driven and like mm-hmm. wacky scenarios. I think.
Yeah, if even like I said, 4 and 5, if you didn't read the books, it could feel like you remember Streets of LA, True Crime.
Oh, was this the game that like out of nowhere?
It's like GTA, and then out of nowhere there's like flying dragons and like and it's like what plot twist was this? Like M. Night Shyamalan.
One moment you just like, am I playing the same game? Like what is?
Right, yeah, and once it gets to that point, I can see how people didn't like the story because they didn't understand how it got there.
Yeah, it seems like it did go a little whimsical.
Yeah.
A little too whimsical. So, anyways, that is Halo. That's what we want to see in Halo. Now, Ninja Theory's AAA project is the Unreal Engine 5 powered Hellblade Senua's Saga. This is the one that is most Sony-like game that we've seen from Xbox Game mm-hmm. Studios so far. We need to see actual gameplay. As impressive as that blindsiding reveal trailer. So yeah, this is Ryan McCaffrey's right. This is very Sony like. It was actually the first one was exclusive to PlayStation 4 for a timed exclusive, and then that was before Microsoft acquired Ninja Theory. So I haven't fully played through Hellblade yet, but it is
Same.
a very incredible game, third-person action adventure game. It's got that competing level. Now, my question for you guys is Halo, or the I'm sorry, Halo. I'm back on Halo again. The original Hellblade was about less than 10 hours. So it was more of a very focused experience, and the fact that I'm saying it's less than 10 hours does not downplay this game at all. It's a
Mhm.
very good story, very you know focused, and that's the best way to describe it. It gets the point across quite well. But with Microsoft's backing, now that they have acquired Ninja Theory, they have the backing of Microsoft and their financial support. So,
Yeah.
do you think that they're going to end up making this Hellblade game a full-on, like, just God of War scope, um, just third-person action adventure game to compete with all of these great first-party PlayStation exclusives? Andrew.
Yes. I think what we're going to get out of that game. Well, let me start with what I thought about it when I first saw it. I actually never heard of Hellblade. Um, I want to play the original,
Right.
and I can't wait for this game because it looked absolutely amazing, and it actually kind of looks up my alley of something I'd enjoy.
Mhm.
So I think what we're going to get from them and Microsoft, I think Microsoft, let me just put this out there real quick. I think every game Microsoft is going to put out for the foreseeable future, they're going to put everything they got. So if these games
Mhm.
bomb, that's everything Microsoft had.
Mhm.
If these games do great, Microsoft's back on the map like the 360 days. So I'm expecting what's a good 20-25 hour game. If the first one was only, you say, about 10 hours,
It was
I
less than
think
10, yeah.
I think you'll get a 20-25 hour value out of the game. I think, and the game's going to come out March 21.
Oh, you
I
think
think,
it's a spring
yeah,
release?
I don't think.
Mm,
I mean, God, the game looks so freaking impressive
yeah.
that if the game, like, if they show the trailer, like, if they come out and show, like, maybe the identical trailer or something very similar to it, and then it just goes, like, right into gameplay and it looks just like the trailer,
Mm.
I think it may be too advanced to come out at launch. And
Yeah.
I think maybe because Halo's there, and I'm going to assume Forza's going to come out. I think Forza's going to come out in September-ish before the Series X. And then, they're just going to say, hey, look, you can get it now, play it on your Xbox One, and then buy your Series X, and you get that the smart delivery. So I think Forza's going to come out early.
Oh, wow.
And then I think Halo Infinite is going to come out on the day the Series X releases. And I don't think they want to put I think they're going to put Hellblade, just judging by the way that game looks.
Mhm.
I think they're going to want to space maybe 3 or 4 months out. And they'll say, hey, look, once you've beaten Halo and digested that, boom, here's another big Xbox game. And I would assume that's probably when another big Sony game may come out, because that seems to be their kind of reputation, is to go the
The
March
spring.
through May. Really,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think they're going to save Hellblade for that. But yes, that game looks, at least from that trailer, looks very impressive. And now that they're saying that it was running on Unreal 5, hopefully that's their way. That's their way of saying, hey, that's the game right there.
Now,
Yeah.
my thought process on that, the fact that they did say it was running on Unreal 5 kind of gives me the impression that this game is still early in development. That's where I'm going. I feel like this is a
That it was all a trailer too.
yeah, it's running in-game engine, I think they said. I don't think it was like actual in-game footage.
Yeah.
In-game engine is different. So it was running on Unreal 5, according to somebody from Microsoft saying that it was. But the fact that Unreal 5 is just now kind of starting to circulate out to developers, and I don't think it gives like a full I don't think it goes out to developers full on until next year, summer next year, I believe. But somehow I get maybe apparently Microsoft has gotten their hands on it now because Hellblade's already in development. Um, but kind of gives me the impression that Hellblade's a little further out.
Okay.
I think that one's going to be a little bit
Mhm.
further out. But yeah, I do think Halo Infinite and Forza will arrive for definitely for day one.
Can I just say the facial animations in that trailer though,
Mm-hmm.
dude, that was ridiculous.
It was really impressive, man. Now speaking of impressive, this is uh, Microsoft's like biggest thing they got going for them right now. Ryan McCaffrey says the initiative, which counts a number of experienced and talented developers among its crew, is either creating a new IP or rebooting Perfect Dark, depending on who you talk to. But it is time to find out which it is, and the answer has to be impressive. Yeah, definitely. No joke there.
Mhm.
But here's my question for you guys: is the response. This is one of the biggest announcements that I am personally looking forward to when it comes to the July event. I'm looking forward to seeing what the initiative is up to because the initiative is comprised of like the industry's finest.
Yeah,
Microsoft is not playing around. This is like quadruple A game
yeah,
studio.
the first.
Yeah, yeah. This is Microsoft saying this is our Naughty Dog. You know what I mean? Like this is our big name title. What's up, Holmes?
I was gonna say, what if they're giving you two games?
Oh,
What if they're giving you maybe a Perfect Dark, maybe like a remaster or something, and then they're also giving you brand new IP, and then
Mm-hmm.
they'll work on maybe a Perfect Dark, a new game maybe for 2 years down the road.
I would be okay with that if it was like this is the game that we started development on when we were all coming together and it's a Perfect Dark reboot. It looks great. But they have to immediately follow that up with, or even if it's not like Perfect Dark, I don't know. Like let's just say we all got together and we worked on this lower. It's not a triple A type experience type thing. Of course, they're not going to say this outright, but if they if they announce this and it's not like if it doesn't blow our minds, then I think that's going to be a bad take on Microsoft because this is your initiative. Like this is the naughty. We're expecting a Naughty Dog quality exclusive for Xbox from these guys. So if you're going to say that we're working on two games, you have to announce both of them. You have to be like,
But
mhm.
this is the
yeah,
one that's coming out immediately, like maybe even for launch. You can enjoy this one, but rest assured, we are working on whatever Perfect Dark reboot, and it's going to be. And here's a trailer, and you know what I mean? Like, and there's like this is
yeah,
what we're going to expect. Um, but yeah, that's actually. I mean, it's a big enough team that it could be, uh, split into two divisions. Um, One thing that I do want to add on to it, where Ryan McCaffrey says that it could be Perfect Dark. To further support that, there was a job listing on LinkedIn that got taken down, or not a job listing, but somebody posted their profile on LinkedIn, and under the previous work experiences, it said he worked at the initiative, and one of the things he was in charge of was working on high tech gadgets, animations, and stuff like that, and
hmm
that immediately got people thinking like, is this Perfect Dark? So that's probably where his. I mean, of course, and it's like strongly rumored that it's a Perfect Dark thing. So the rumors out there. Would you guys like to see a Perfect Dark reboot?
Mhm.
Yeah, or would you rather have a completely new IP?
Oh man, I don't because like new IPs are so it's hit or miss anymore.
It's risky, but I mean,
Yeah,
without them, you wouldn't get. I hate to keep coming back to them, but these games are true masterpieces. I know you guys are
yeah,
Xbox guys, but
yeah,
without a new IP, you wouldn't get Horizon, you wouldn't get Last of Us. Like you need to take these risks to get it,
yeah.
and like just like in the PlayStation event, Kenna, I'm actually really excited about that one. That's the game that looked kind of like the
Yeah,
cameo Elements of Power game.
yeah,
But I'm excited about that one, and these are all brand new IPs. Like Sony actually announced a lot of new IPs that kind of got me excited. So I think a new IP would be really strong for Xbox. I mean, Perfect Dark, yeah. Don't get me wrong, I would love to see a Perfect Dark game,
yeah.
but what
That's
I
about
why I
mean,
was
I,
saying
I
maybe you
feel
can.
less nervous knowing that the initiative is working on a new IP than somebody else.
right? We got ex Naughty Dog employees here, guys. I mean,
Right.
these guys are ready. I think Infinity Ward ex employees from Infinity Ward, I think, are there. But yeah, these are top name. Like this is the Avengers of the game industry. They're all coming together, guys. I mean, Microsoft is not playing around, so I'm excited to see what they got going on, and I hope they have something to show us at July's event.
Didn't BioWare have another IP they were supposed to show off too?
That is, I mean, that's for EA Play, man. We'll have to wait and find out for
Mm.
June 18th, man. I'm not too sure. They got a lot going on.
I get a good feeling about
BioWare.
this EA Play, bro.
All right, so Playground Games, the incredibly accomplished studio responsible for Forza Horizon, spun up a second team that looks set to reboot Fable. This might be the biggest dormant IP Microsoft is sitting on. This could be a huge next gen Fable running on Playground's 4-season open world engine. Anyone? This could be huge. The type of showstopper that will make people pay attention. That's what Ryan McCaffrey said in his article. Now,
Launch title.
launch title Fable. Oh my god! Now, so before I go over to Andrew on this one, Andrew said in the Friday episode of Game Night Podcast, I believe that was episode 9. Andrew said that Xbox needs to show variety in their first party
Hmm.
games. Now, so far we've talked about a first person shooter, a third person action adventure,
Hmm.
possibly a stealth shooter game with Perfect Dark. We're not sure. And if the rumors are true with this one, this could be a massive open world RPG. So there's a lot of variety there
Hmm.
with a new Fable game. Is anybody? I think Greg, you're a big Fable guy, I
Oh
believe.
my god, I loved Fable, dude.
Yeah.
I still got all of them installed just in case I want to play them again. Like, I'm like, I need space. Not getting rid of these.
how does a 4-season like alternate like the seasons changing just like it did in Forza Horizon, the big game world map just changes, and
It's more immersive.
you get that Forza Horizon open world, and honestly, one of the best open world games.
Hmm.
Like
So the only
it's
time the
super
weather
good.
ever changed in the other ones is when you progressed in the story
Mhm.
and got to different like areas. So
So these guys know how to make an open world game. I mean,
hmm.
Forza Horizon, even though it's driving, it is still an open world game, and it's one of the best. So I'm really excited about it as well. And that's Fable, uh, and we're expecting that from Playground Games. Now he also concludes his statement in the article. Obsidian Entertainment, arguably the most high profile of Microsoft's new teams, and I disagree, but,
Uh,
but arguably the most high profile of the Microsoft teams, has at least one major project, almost certainly an RPG, in the works, courtesy of the Pillars of Eternity team. And don't forget Forza Motorsport 8, Rare's Everwild. We need to see it all, not just this handful. Even if they're just sexy CG trailers, I disagree with that.
yeah.
This is not the time for Phil Spencer to hold anything back. It is vital that they move forward. I wouldn't waste a moment showing Xbox Series X optimized updates for old stuff like Gears 5. That can be done done in a nicely edited video released later. This is a fresh start. He and the Xbox team have been working so hard over the past 6 years and since he took over. And if he's serious about regaining the trust and enthusiasm of the core gamers that Microsoft enjoyed during the Xbox 360 era, he has to come out swinging with entirely new and amazing content. Now, there, I want to break that down. When he says Rare's Everwild, that was that game that was announced at the XO19 I don't even know what to make of it, but it did look like a Breath of the Wild style trailer where it was literally just animals in this cell shaded, I'd say, graphics, but it looked amazing. So obviously, I feel like it was on a Series X. But yeah, it didn't show anything on the gameplay. You're petting some foxes. You run into a cave with an evil animal. But it did look like there was 3 other people with you, or 2 other people at least. So maybe it's a co-op adventure type thing. So we'll have
Drop
to
in,
see.
drop out.
Yeah, like maybe like a Destiny meets Zelda Breath of the Wild. I don't know. It could be. It'd be interesting. But this is rare. They always just dabble into just new crazy things. So
Sea of Thieves says drop in, drop out. So
exactly. So maybe they tested the waters with that. Doing that drop in, drop out feature. Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna call the show right there. I'm good. I got that was my best one. So yeah, they've tested the waters with that. Yeah, and then Forza Motorsport 8. We talked about that earlier, but now he says even if they're just sexy CG trailers, do not show me that. I don't want to see it. I don't think this is the time for it. I completely disagree with that. At the Sony press con or the Sony PlayStation 5 reveal, I don't believe we saw. I don't know. I don't want to say this with CG trailers. We saw some CG trailers, but most of the time they were backed up with gameplay.
Yeah.
Most of the time. I mean, there was when you actually sit back and think about that conference a lot more. They didn't give you many release dates.
Oh yeah, that's
that's what I was saying. I was like,
so yeah, like even Gran Turismo, like we know Forza's coming. Like I would almost bet money Forza 8 is coming out in September. Like, but as far as the Gran Turismo, yeah, they showed you what looked to be gameplay. But I have also been down that road, not to bring another pun in there, but I've been down that road.
Got him!
Before where they announce something and God, 6 years goes by and the game finally comes out. So, Sony did show a lot of games. They didn't show many release dates. So I think for Xbox, they need to do the same. Even if I kind of agree with the CG trailer. They just need to get names out there at this point. Like they can't come out and say, "Hey, look, we got our standard games, a couple new IPs. They're coming out within the next year." They need to come out. I don't care if it's a game coming out 3 years from now. They need to pull a Sony and say. That's why I said maybe the initiative's working on 2 games. They'll in the middle of the show they'll show Perfect Dark Zero or whatever, and at the very end, after the Halo Infinite trailer, which I'm assuming is going to be the last thing they show, and then Philly comes out and he, does closing comments, and then they pull, and then they pull a Sony, and like the initiative has this amazing, got another Hellblade looking game, and it's like there's no release date, it's just a CG trailer, and it's like then maybe at the end of the year or in the future we start hearing, hey, this is a 2023 game or something. You know what I mean? Like they just need to get names out there and get people talking instead of, and I love Microsoft, but they need, and this is what I've always admired about Microsoft over Sony, because I've always had a problem with Sony trying to capitalize off maybe like other companies' mistakes, and then they show games that aren't even due for the next 5 years. Like I've always hated that with Sony. But at this point, hey, you can't deny it. It's obviously worked for them. So, like the Final Fantasy remake. I mean, God, how long did it take for that to come out?
But that's a freaking Square Enix. Like that's their freaking what they do. But if you want to give a more direct example, Last of Us was literally shown in 2016, I think, and we're just now coming out. So
and guess what? You've been talking about it for 4 years.
I mean, you can't deny it, right? Like that's kind of good marketing.
Normally, Microsoft just says, "Hey, look, here's Gears 5, but it's coming out next year."
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like they need to say like, "Hey, this is bada boom, bada bing," and we don't know when it's coming out, but hey, talk about it because this is what it's going to look like.
I can see that happening. Well, I would say like for a franchise that was kind of known, like I can kind of see that happening. Like, say if initiatives, if that their big game is Perfect Dark reboot, like if you show us at the end, you've shown Halo, and like you said, like here's your big zinger at the end, and then they
Right.
show you like a really awesome Perfect Dark like trailer, maybe throw in some like glimpses of what the gameplay is going to look like. Uh, that could be, and then just like Perfect Dark, and then you don't give a release date on it. We don't see this game for another couple years, but
Yeah.
there's the big zinger thing. Like they say, hey, we're bringing back this franchise. I would say this about Fable, but I feel like they've been in development for a while on
Yeah,
this game.
it's the best kept secret.
Yeah, so if they do reveal Fable, I feel like Fable is going to be coming out within the next, at least within the next console year,
And
the first year of the console. Huh?
call me crazy, but I think we get either a logo or just a face of Marcus Phoenix or something. But I bet you Gears 6 also gets announced.
Ooh.
I think just it will be. I mean, I know it just came out not too long ago, but
It's
I
been
have a
out for a
feeling.
while, actually.
I think this show is going to bring the heat, and I think they'll just. I think they're going to drop everything they've got into this show. Even, and I agree with what Ryan said about if he drops a CGI or something. I mean, all they got to do is throw up the Gear 6 logo and say 2022 or
Yeah.
2021, and then it lets you know, like, look, Series X is where you want to be in the next few years because games are coming.
Right.
That's
They
why
definitely need to do that.
that's why I
Yeah.
agree they don't want to say, hey, this is what Gears 5 looks like on the Series X. Like, yeah, I care because, hey, we've stopped playing it because we want to play it on the Series X. But nobody cares. Like, let's be honest, nobody else cares. So they want to know, hey, if I buy a Series X, even though you're not planning to have exclusives in the first year or two, hey, what am I getting in year 3? Are you planning? Is this a long haul console, 7-8 year console that I'm going to invest in? And after the Sony showing, yeah, it was a great showing, but Xbox needs to be great. Like they need to match it. Like because there's also, like I said, if you go back when, I gave it an A, but if you go back and think about it, Sony did leave a lot on the table that kind of makes you think. Like they never addressed certain areas of their console. They didn't address the backwards compatibility. They didn't give you the price. They didn't give you this and that. Whereas, I mean, they didn't even show you the back of the console, so you don't even know what ports look like. Whereas this is Xbox, they've already got a lot of that information out there, and if they give you the price and they give you games and also these games are all coming to Game Pass. So hey, here's our future plans of Game Pass. Here's our future plans of xCloud.
Yeah.
So you can enjoy and enhance your Series X experience. And I think if they give you and they've been pretty transparent lately. So if they put it out there of, look, this is where you want a game, okay, that's what they got to do.
And that brings me to the next thing he said, where he was like, they shouldn't waste time with telling you like upgraded games. I kind of feel like they should at least take a moment. Yeah. Right. Take a moment to tell me like, hey,
Start.
I don't know if you want to reveal Halo Infinite and then say, here's what it looks like on your one, but here's what it's going to look like on Series X. I don't know if you want to take that as the example, but I do think you need an example to say, like, here's an Xbox Series X game that we are working on, and you want to know if the Series X is worth the upgrade. Here's how fast it's going to load. And I honestly, this is something that I really was kind of hoping that PlayStation would have shown at theirs. I want to see this machine at work. I mean, obviously, the games look great, and I think the reason why PlayStation got such a high score from me, I gave it an A+, was because for what it was a games reveal conference. It wasn't a, and then obviously revealing the box itself, but For what it was, man, it dropped like bombshell after just bombshell. Like it was, I loved it. I was going the entire time. Everything was hitting all marks for me. There was a couple games here and there that I didn't connect with, but that's okay.
Quite a few
Um,
for me.
huh?
And so there's quite a few.
Quite
for
a few. See, I was like, I was on board through the whole thing, and then I love the build up. I love the reveal. I wasn't expecting tech information from them, but like, I just feel like I want to see this machine at work because yeah, the great games look great, and you're giving me great games, but how are they going to be? And especially for Xbox, especially for Xbox. They're doing the backwards compatibility. They're doing the smart delivery. With the smart delivery, you need to tell me how this is actually going to work. You know what I mean? Xbox
Mhm.
needs to show me saying, here's smart delivery and how it works for Halo Infinite. And like, show us the game running on Xbox One. I'm using that as an example, but I think they could use a better example. But show it running on Xbox One. Show me how long it takes me to get into the game. Show me, how pretty it is on Xbox One. But then just blow me away with like, now here it's running on Series X, and this is like, and basically like this is the reason why
Mhm.
you should go out and buy a Series X on day one. Because if you just show me Series X Halo Infinite, I don't know what Xbox One's going to look like, and it's always going to be in the back of my mind. Like, well, I mean, it looks great. I'm sure it's going to look great on Xbox One. I don't really need it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So I would say give me examples. I want to see tech examples. I know they've
Yeah.
released certain videos throughout the year, but I want to see this thing at work. I want to see
Show
how
me
fast.
show me a side by side example of the loading time it takes for the Xbox version compared to the enhanced uh, version for the Series X with
Yes.
all the upgrades. Still less loading time.
Yeah, I mean that's perfect example. You know what? Maybe I do think they need to focus on smart delivery. I really do. I think if you're
Hmm.
gonna say here's Gears 5, you know how long it takes to get into a Gears 5 game? Like,
Yeah.
show me it's saying here's Gears 5, boom, you're in the game. Let's go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like that. Just like that. So I feel like that is a system seller, and they're just kind of sitting on it. You know what I mean? Like both
Mhm.
console, both PS5 and the Series X, they're just sitting on this like really big system seller of like how fast these
They
game
didn't
loading
talk
times.
about it.
Nobody's talking
As
about
much
loading
as they're
times.
toting the SSD for the
Yeah,
PlayStation, you'd think they would have showed some like side by side loading time things, to
I thought when they started it off with Grand Theft Auto, I thought they were going to show us getting into a Grand Theft Auto game. You know how, dude,
Jesus, we
it
all know how
takes
long
like,
that takes.
oh my god, like I want to play Grand Theft Auto, and this is no lie. Most of the games on my Xbox or PlayStation 5, you look at them and you're like, oh, I could play that tonight. But then you think in the back of your mind, you're like, that's going to take at least 10, 15 minutes to get into the game. By the time I'm in the game, I mean, I don't know. I could have just
Do I
watched the
still want to
show.
play it?
Do I still want to
Yeah.
play it? Like, I'll just play this instead. And it's just like, I think with loading times, it's just such a big deal that nobody's, yeah, maybe they're talking about it, but you're not showing it. You got to
Yeah.
show this off. So I want to see the tech side. So I disagree with Ryan McCaffrey on that. I want to see the tech side of things. At least take a couple minutes just to show
Mhm.
me that. Don't dwell on it too long. Just show me how fast these games load, like Greg said. So we go on to the next thing. This is probably the last thing I want to talk about. Let's see. Um, Actually, yeah, that was the last thing I want to talk about. So there it is, guys. That was the Game Night Podcast, episode 10 of season 1 for this. I just put season 1 on it because I feel like once we have gotten to a more prestigious state, I'm going to change it over to season 2. Right now, stage 10 is working out great for us. But yeah, I mean, hey, if you're watching this video and you're in the comments, let me know how the likes of Kinda Funny and IGN do it. How are they getting these live video feeds and streaming them? I want to know. I know they gotta have some kind of professional equipment, but they're doing the same thing we are from home. They're doing it from home. So how are they getting the pure audio live? This is the best way we discovered at stage 10. So
Mm.
yeah. So thank you guys so much for joining. Any closing thoughts? I'd like to end these with closing thoughts if you have any. Andrew, you got any closing thoughts?
Oh man, I'm just excited for July. I want to see. I mean, especially when that article came out the other day saying that they are bringing the heat for this conference. I am excited to see what they're actually bringing. They can't lay an egg on this one because I mean that could depend or that could determine how the launch window plays out. I feel like this is it. The rest of the conferences after this are just going to be not so much have the eyes on you. I mean, PlayStation had the eyes on them. They brought a good conference, and then this is Microsoft's big boy conference. So, yeah, I'm just excited to make sure they bring their games this time.
Yeah, Greg. Yeah, I mean, we got the big conference coming up in July. Any closing thoughts going into that? Of course, we will be doing a Xbox prediction show. So just make sure you guys gather up all your predictions and what you guys want to see and stuff like that. We'll be doing a dedicated Xbox prediction show. But what's your closing thoughts, Greg?
I'm super excited for not normally for EA play, but yes, this year.
Yeah.
As well, almost as much as the Microsoft press conference, just because they're saying that they're still treating it like an E3 conference. Like they're going hard.
Yeah.
And they're not worried about what anyone else has like out there right now. Like I love that about Microsoft, where they're just like, not worried.
Yeah, I mean, also I wouldn't say don't forget about, but like we don't know much about Ubisoft's press conference is coming up. Ubisoft Forward is going to be in July as well.
So Rainbow Six Siege.
Probably some more Rainbow Six Siege, but more open world games. Ubisoft's. I'm excited to see what they got. But yeah, I mean, exciting times ahead. It's just they're confusing and it's all jumbled up and I can't keep track of it all with.
Same.
Yeah, it's just so hard. I missed the Future Game Show. I missed Future Game Show yesterday. I caught the tail end of it, and I was kind of upset about that because it's just so many reschedules, so many,
and they're scattered everywhere.
Scattered across
keep everything in one pile of where you need to be and when it is. Yeah. Imagine if they had a conference for this or something.
Yeah, exactly. I just miss E3. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining me for this podcast. It was a great podcast, in my opinion. I think we covered some good stuff here. Like I said, these videos will be broken up into separate videos discussing each segment of the console wars. If you want the full deal, you can get it right here in this podcast. You can listen to it on Spotify, Apple, anywhere you get your podcasts. It's Game Night. Look for the blue and yellow logo. And then if you want to watch it on YouTube, if you're listening to this, you go to youtube.com/GameNightHype. And if you want to watch it live, it's on twitch.tv/GameNightHype. And you can watch us live every Friday at 8 p.m. Or 8:30 p.m. And then this one's a kind of a hit and miss, but today we did it on Sunday. Hopefully on Tuesdays, but we'll figure out the scheduling from there. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you guys so much for joining.
See you later. Thank you.